Well, good morning again, my friends. We are looking at pricing today. Pricing is one of the P's, 5 P's of the marketing mix. We have product, we have price, we have place, we have promotion, and again, that 5th P, we have people. So, pricing, very important. We need to find the right price that we are going to charge for our product or service, and certainly for our marketing plan as well. Now, don't have to tell you how acquainted each of us are in terms of pricing. You pay for rent for your apartment, tuition for your education, fees everywhere. Chipotle, $7.50 for a burrito. And I hope that hasn't gone up lately. Credit cards charge us interest. Well, that's the price of money. So, pricing's everywhere. Our price must complement the product or service, and it must lead to profitability. Most important, the sum of all values that customers exchange to gain the benefit for having that product or service. Now, my father grew up through the Great Depression, went to World War II, so he was one of those old codgers that would always say, "Hey son, something is worth as much as someone else will pay for it." So, there's a lot of truth in that statement. Now, this is the only element in the marketing mix that brings in the revenues. Everything else are costs. So, we must find the right price that delivers the value that we can make a profit. Let's look at Trader Joe's. I don't know if we have any Trader Joe fans in here. I happen to be one. Their price points are, in their positioning, is the value equation. It's cheap gourmet. Everything looks so cool, and I love Trader Joe's. Most everything in here is a private brand. The combination of gourmet and discount food store. It's very experiential. I think they do an amazing job. Every month has a new theme to it. May is usually the mango month. October is the pumpkin month. And months in between have some sort of a special celebration. They're very lean on their operations, and they save a lot of money. Very frugal price points. It's one of the few places you can go in and get maybe 4 bags of grocery, and it's a very small grocery store, but you could do it all there if you had to, and not pay $1,000 or not pay $200. So, private brands. Most all of these are knockoff brands from someone else. If you were, say, you had this great almond butter that you have created, and Kroger, Tom Thumb, Segway, whatever market store said, you know what, we're full on that, we don't need it. Trader Joe's would take it, but you'd have to use their brand, and so they basically put their labeling on it, and you sell it through Trader Joe's, and so basically it looks like a Trader Joe's product that they actually made. But most of these are knockoffs from other companies, and it just looks super cool because of the great packaging design. They don't spend a lot for advertising. I mean, they do emails and, of course, good social media. And small store, small footprint, not easy to park in, but great packaging, displays, and experiences. So, that's the inside of one of the Trader Joe stores. There's some in Fort Worth. There's a great one in South Lake. And again, you can pretty much, especially for a small household, find everything you need there and save some money. And a lot of organics. It's a cool place to shop. If you look at sales per square foot, and in the retail world, that's how things are measured in 2 ways. Your sales per square foot, there's a square foot, and your profitability per square foot. So Trader Joe's, because of the small footprint and the volume they do, they have $1,750 per square foot. That's pretty amazing. H-E-B Grocery, that's Central Market as well, has $1,200. Whole Foods, $930. Kroger, Walmart, of course, just Walmart. The stores are just so ginormous that there is a lot of space out there. The highest in retail sales would be Apple, $4,800. Hey, when you buy a MacBook Pro fully loaded at $5,000. Yeah, you can have that highest retail sales. How do we price? Well, we've got some parameters we have to look at. This is the cost, okay? This is what it's going to cost for your product. That's the floor. No profits when you go south of that. All right, you're just losing money, and there's probably really no profits, even just a little above that. We've got to figure out that's the lowest point. The highest point is the consumer's perception of value. All right, there's the ceiling. Let's look at our phones. We have the iPhone 11, if it can ever ship from China. 11 Plus, I think now. Yeah, the 11. Let's say it's with everything loaded on with your warranty. What is it? Maybe 1,300. And is that at the ceiling? Would you pay more for that when you can get a Samsung or a LG phone for 500? I mean, so very interesting. There's the ceiling. There is the lowest point. How do we get our price? Again, our strategies, our marketing mix, the nature of demand and market, lots of factors that are going to dictate where we can set our price. So, the value-based pricing. This is based on our perception. That's why psychology is so important in the marketing world. I believe it's worth this much, to buy this product. There's the value-based pricing, good value and value added we're going to look at. Now, this is changing right now, the buyer's perception. Again, March 2020, the coronavirus, the pandemic is setting in throughout the world, and it's certainly setting hard in the United States. We have several states right now that are sheltering people. The city of Dallas has just sheltered. The city of Fort Worth is probably going to take a while just because it's a different dynamics, which means there's not a lot of stuff you can buy. I don't know if the malls are closing, most retail stores, a lot of online buying. But has this shaped anything for you, your perception of what you're buying right now? I haven't bought any luxury items in the past few weeks that I think I'll buy a new golf item, maybe, or something cool from eBay or some fishing equipment, things you like to do. Everything now has been shaped on food. Okay, do I have enough food? Are we panicking? And so do I have my stockpile? So I think when we come through this, maybe our behavior will change. If you look at the cohort from the Great Depression, which my parents were a part of, they hoarded. They never threw away anything because it could always be used and reused and repurposed. Let's see if we come into that. It's very interesting how our perceptions and our psychology of purchasing is going to be in the coming years. Well, back to pricing. Value-based versus cost-based. Cost-based means we design the product we like, we determine the costs, we set the price based on cost, and then we convince buyers to purchase that product. Very, very, very common in the marketplace. We have the value-based pricing. Again, instead of just going to the product first, we look at customer needs, their value. What do our customers want? Set the price to match the customer perceived value. All right. Now determine the cost that can be incurred, and design the product to deliver that desired value at the target price. So starting with the customer first, starting with the product first. No way is wrong. It just depends on the area we're in. For this, more than likely, very much more consumable goods that we're buying every day. These items, probably specialty items that you want to shopping products, clothes, camera equipment, electronics. I think you get the point there. Well, good value. All right, right combination of quality and services at the right price. There's another market store that has come in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Aldi's. It's a very small footprint. All private brands, all an Aldi brand, but it's very, very low pricing. Now, Steinway & Sons, if you like a grand piano, the average price of a Steinway piano is $80,000. Wow. 99% of the owners, I found this pretty interesting, are amateurs who would never perform in public. They don't want anyone else to hear their music, but they love it, and they're just playing for their own enjoyment. So, very interesting. Whole Foods, I like to call it whole paycheck. It's value added, which means, all right, we have extra services so we can charge higher fees. Hey, well, let me show you how to make that great pumpkin soup, all right? So we have maybe chefs on staff, certainly at Central Market as well, and Eatsies and some of the other fine eateries and upscale grocery stores. Little extras that you will pay that higher price for. It's a great way to do it. Apple's prices, again, if we look at what Apple has done, they are the number one brand in the world, consumer brand. They are also the highest profitable company. Now we know they're having problems right now because they can't get their supplies out of China, can't get a lot of their products. So we'll act like that's not an issue right now. But they've always maintained high prices. When you buy that Apple MacBook Pro, which I'm on right now, the price doesn't go down each year, but they do add more memory to it, more higher processor. They add more value, and they keep their prices high. And I think we can take a page from Apple, certainly those of us who are going to try to have our own business someday. You know, you just can't compete against Walmart's price because they would just, I don't even know what the word is, annihilate doesn't seem to be the key word what Apple would do to us. I'm sorry, what Walmart would do. We want to be like the Apple, keep a high price as we possibly can, and reward that with great service for your customers. So let's keep the Apple mentality, keep the high price, and always add value to everything we do that can maintain that price. Well, what about this? All right, Lyft and Uber. Well, I think those are companies we all are very familiar with. I've taken Uber. I'm not a big Uber driver, usually from the airport. Now, the airport, I live very close to Northeast Campus, and so let's check that out. When I come back from the airport from a trip, I'll usually Uber home because I don't want to bother anybody. I think it's less than $20, for about, what's that, 5 miles maybe. And of course, I give the tip. I took a cab, all right, a taxi from the airport one time, and it was like $70. And of course, that included the person's tip. It was already done by the time I get out of the car, and I didn't have any luggage for the person to even open up. It was a carry-on. So do we like Uber's prices? Man, I love the prices. Let me ask you a question. Would you get out of bed and go pick someone up for the airport from Northeast Campus and drive them back for $18? I wouldn't. And of course, you wouldn't get all that $18 because then Uber gets a percentage of that. I believe from what I've talked to students who are Uber drivers, it's about 70% they keep and 30% Uber keeps. Now, I thought that was different. I thought Uber would keep like 60%, 60, and you would keep 40. So, we love the price points, and Lyft, I think, is even possibly a little less than Uber, but certainly no more. We love the price points. So let me ask you this. Which company is more profitable? Uber or Lyft? Raise your hands if you say Uber. Okay. Oh. Or Lyft? All right. Neither. Neither company is profitable. And that's the problem with them. It's going to be very interesting going through. We love the service, we love the demand of it, but their price points are so low that they're hemorrhaging money. Last year, Uber and Lyft in 2018 lost a combined almost $3 billion together. Yikes. That taxi cab is very profitable, and we see why. The price points are much higher. In order for these companies to get more profitability, what are they going to have to do? Yeah, the only thing they can do is really raise their prices or and switch that equation like a 50-50 split between the company and the driver. So, let's take a nice millennial viewpoint. All right? I wake up in the morning on my Casper bed. By the way, I have a Casper bed, and they are fantastic. I love it. I get up, I hit my Peloton, all right, for my 30 minutes, 40 minutes of workout. I grab DoorDash, has my French toast and my waffles and my Raisin Bran healthy breakfast. I get a Lyft, all right, and I cruise all the way to WeWork. That was that super cool millennialistic company where I can just grab a workspace. I can rent by the day, the week, or the month, and I do all my creative work. Again, I have Uber Eats. Hit me up for lunch. I get my favorite street tacos. And then as I go home, I'll grab another Lyft or an Uber home. And by the time I get there, I've either gone again to DoorDash or to Uber Eats. And if I was in New York City, there's a great reservation app that actually pays me points or actually pays me in Amazon dollars just to use their service. And this is my daily routine. Super cool, super efficient. What do all these companies have in common? In the year 2018, all of the companies combined lost $16 billion. You see why pricing is so important? How do we set the right price for our product or service? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas here, friends, especially for your own business ideas. Well, we have the cost base. All right, we have our fixed cost. That's everything that our business operates on. That's the fixed is your rents for your building, possible full-time employees, equipment, etc., etc. Your variable costs are what actually cost you. This is just for having an organization, a place to go to. This is the actual costs, with the cost of goods sold for that product. What type of material, supplies, etc., etc. That's the total cost. All right. So establishes a floor for pricing. Obviously, this is my total cost. If it's my total cost for my product is $20, I just can't make any money at 18, and I can guarantee you couldn't make any money at $25 either. You would still. We haven't even talked about different expenses. Those were just costs, just different general expenses. So, but at least that's the floor. At least that's the floor. I think for the young entrepreneur, the small entrepreneur selling a product, we want to look at gross margin pricing. We got to at least come up with a point. And so, to get your gross margin pricing, for those who've taken accounting, it's your selling price minus your cost of goods sold, all right? And you divide back by your selling price. So if we just take a quick example, we have a product that sells for $100. It costs you to make that product. All right, that's on the shelf or online, and so 60 to produce it. So you have 100 minus 60, and you divide it right back by your selling price. So 40 divided by 100, so you can get a percentage this way, is a 40% gross profit margin. Now, is that a profit margin? Full net profit? No, because you have expenses, all right? You have depreciation, you have all sorts of office expenses. Yes, there may be different salary expenses, lots of expenses. So that number, self-employment tax, is going to go down very quickly. Okay? Now, it can be done on a single unit or the entire company. Let's look at it again. All right. You're saying this. I'm buying a product and reselling it. How do I get a 60% margin? What would be my selling price? So we would take this. We know our product costs $50, and I want a 60% gross margin. This is the way to do it. So I do 50 divided by 1 minus my gross margin, 0.60. So 50 divided by 0.4. My selling price is $125. That gets me the 60% gross margin. This is where we need to live. All right, in our business ideas, we need to live at least at the 60% gross margin, because there's probably other expenses in our business that we have actually forgotten. We haven't incurred them yet, but you will, and you want to be able to have a cushion to absorb those. So if we wanted a 70% gross margin, I'm liking that. $6 for the product, all right, okay. So 6 divided by 1 minus 0.7 is 6 divided by 0.3, a 70% gross margin profit. That product would sell for $20. Now, why do we need to stick in this range right in here? For this reason. Walmart operates on about a 30 to 35% gross margin. Now, how can they do it? Because they just have such massive volume. They can hit it that way. you cannot get in a price war with an organization like this. They can just bury us down. Now, we're going to have to do something a lot more to get that 60% gross margin. We're going to have to be absolutely amazing in the product or service that our business is selling. Here's why we like gross margin pricing. And again, I've gotten most all my research is from our textbooks, from great internet sources, from Inc., from Fast Company, small businesses. So I'm getting their information and just giving it right back to you. You know, you can do a price increase. Wouldn't we love that? So if I increase my prices 5% and I had a 50% gross margin, I could sell 9% less and still maintain my same profitability. Sweet. If I had a 20% increase on my price, and I was originally at the 50% gross margin, I can sell 30% less and still maintain my profitability. Well, that's nice to know. And sometimes if we do increase prices, we may have less sales, but we also may have less costs and overhead and also in employees and work to do. Now, this is if we increase. Now, we know we live in that Walmart mentality where it's low prices all the time. Give me your better deal. What happens if we decrease our prices on a gross margin? Is it an inverse relationship? Because it's going to be. I decrease 5%. Well, who cares about 5%? You know, that doesn't get us out of bed in the morning to go to a sale. Let's look at a 20% reduction in prices, okay? And these are some of the margins right in here if we were operating. And so that's why we got to get well above a 40% gross margin. It just doesn't pay. A 20% reduction in price. Okay. At a 40% gross margin, what do I have to do? 100%. I have to double my sales in order to maintain the same profitability. So I sell 100 units at 40% gross margin, reduce my price by 20%. I must sell 200 units to maintain that same gross margin dollars. Let's look at this. If I sell 100 units at a 60% gross margin, okay, now that's what I like, right? I reduce price by 20%. I only need to sell 125 units, okay? So that's 25 more units to gain the same profitability. So I don't have to do as much work right in here. The key, we got to maintain high prices, okay? We can go down, but if you're going down from here, you're dead. You just hang it up. You're not going to make any money. We got to do something different. We can't just compete on price. Our marketing mix, our ideas have to dictate that we can sell at a 60% plus gross margin. Now, wait a second. That's great, Randy, but I'm a consultant, okay? I'm an independent creative sort. How do I price that? And I hope you are. I think many of you are going to be able to be consultants. Obviously, after my great tutelage, you're all marketing experts and business experts. But maybe you want to do that. Maybe you're going to do a little bit of both. You're going to have a service and you'll sell a product. All right? Design services, you know what I mean. So here's a great way to look at that pricing model services. Take your desired salary that you like. I see this too often, my friends. Maybe we're in college and you are desktop publishing, you're, again, social media, and you're doing things for people, and you say, you know what, I'll charge you $25 an hour. You're hurting yourself because you become very good at that, and then you want to do this full time, and they say, well, hey, Zoe, you said you were charging $25 an hour. You want $100 an hour now? I'm not buying that. So I know from experience, because I did that in college in my landscape services, and then when I tried to do it on my own, I had to absolutely erase those customers I was working for and get brand new ones because they thought I was always going to work for nothing. So your desired salary, figuring out your overhead costs, your desired profit margin, and amount of billable hours in a year, so we can come up with an equation. Okay, so determine salary you want. You got to calculate your overhead costs. Well, you may have rent, all right? Well, you could be working out of your apartment. You could be working out of your home. Use that. That's a number. Maybe you're actually going to go and rent some office space. Again, I think what we want to do is figure out what office space we would have to rent and put it in there and still work at home. Maybe we're going to go to WeWorks if they're still in business. I know Dallas, the city of Dallas has Dallas Entrepreneurial Center where you can literally rent out some creative space for very little a month. Equipment, insurance, travel, supplies, etc. That's what we want to figure out. Now we need a profit margin too. You're not doing this for free, you know. You're your own boss, and of course that means there's some different taxes that are going to be applicable to you. So at least a 15% profit margin. You may say 25%. Fantastic. And then let's look at billable hours. Remember, 25 to 35% of your time is not billable, unless you're a big-time lawyer. Then you just bill in your sleep. But for most of us, it's not, because it helps us get a better equation. So again, fleshing it out. So you are going to be a creative digital media's designer in social media managing. Great. You say, I want at least a $70,000 salary. Okay? You do believe you can work very, very lean, all right, and maybe out of your house, but let's just say $1,000 a month of your overhead cost, $12,000. And you decided on a 15% profit margin. Now, you took billable hours. Remember, there's 2,000 hours in a year. Let me go back here. And you took about 25 to 35% of that time out. So you don't bill at 2,000, you bill at 1,560 hours. Use that as the equation. So we take the 70, all right, and we take the overhead costs. That's $82,000. Always put your costs in there. Now we multiply that by 15% profit margin. It gives us another $12,300. Add the 82, that one and that one together. We get $94,000, and we divide that by your billable hours. So now you have a much better rate. You're going to say, I'm going to charge $61 per hour for my creative services. Versus just thinking up a wild-ass number like, yeah, man, $32. Okay. Well, you're really going to shortchange yourself. This would put you on track for that. Now, at least you have a number. It gives us a good starting point. Let's say a company wants to hire your services and they want 20 hours per month. Okay, so if we simply did the 20 hours per month, if I can get my calculator out here, that comes out to $1,220. And you can say now, all right, I'll give you, that's my normal rate, but if you book me for these 20 hours a month for the next year, I will bring it to $1,000 a month. I'll give you a package deal. Understand? This really ought to help you out and for your services that you're going to charge for. And again, you can use a combination of both.